Welcome to Raising the Bar, the podcast of the Chattanooga Bar Association. I'm your host, Linda Hood, and I created this podcast because somewhere along the way, people forgot that lawyers are human. Behind every case, every courtroom victory, and every late-night email is a person with a story, a journey shaped by purpose, challenges, sacrifice, and service. Those are the stories we're telling. Raising the Bar is about pulling back the curtain and giving our community a chance to meet the people behind the profession. Not just what they do, but who they are. Their families, passions, volunteer work, defining moments, and the reasons they continue to show up every day to serve others. Too often, attorneys are seen only through the lens of courtrooms, contracts, and legal headlines. But the truth is, they are people first, people driven by compassion, resilience, and a desire to make a difference in the lives of others. Through honest conversations, we'll explore what motivates them, what challenges them, and what it truly means to live a life of purpose, both inside and outside the courtroom. At its heart, this podcast is about connection, authenticity, and reshaping the narrative around the legal profession, one story at a time. Good morning and welcome to the Chattanooga Bar Association's Raising the Bar, sponsored by Gary Thurman and his amazing team at Guardian Investment Advisors, helping you create financial strategy. Plan today to own tomorrow. I'm Linda Hood, your host for the podcast. Today with me is I have Samantha Lunn, who is a local attorney, but also a volunteer for our CIMS program, and Alexa LaBeouf, who is our data consultant for the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are y'all doing?
Doing well.
Great. Trying to stay cool.
Aren't we all?
Right.
Yes.
Wow. Now, let me know your secret when you find that out, because I haven't been able to.
We will.
All right. We have a lot to cover today, so I'm just going to kind of start right in to what is CIMS and how did it get started?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. I've wanted to be on this podcast for a while now, so it's nice to be here. We're super excited to share about CIMS. It is something that has been in the making since 2020. I'll start with the name. What does CIMS stand for? It is Courthouse Indigent Mediation Services. The program is envisioned to expand access to alternative dispute resolution services with the goal of improving the administration of justice, lessening the burden on our local courts, and improving outcomes for litigants in criminal and civil proceedings. I'll speak a little bit about the history just to give some context. I think everybody remembers in 2020 when the pandemic was hitting, everybody was really terrified about the impact it would have on local families, ranging from access to food, access to housing, just all in all, somebody's ability to navigate a really new and trying time.
Right.
Most especially, how would folks be able to retain housing stability? Housing stability was a public health crisis. If you couldn't retain a roof over your head,
Right.
then we were looking at a concern at a public health level. And so some grants were made available to increase access to resources within housing courts. So in what ways could we support families from experiencing an eviction? The first iteration was a program called the Eviction Prevention Initiative, which linked attorneys to tenants facing eviction. From there, plaintiffs and plaintiffs' attorneys started asking, how much more up the pipeline can you get? Lawsuits are expensive, they're onerous, they're a burden for both parties. And so alongside the courts, we applied for an Eviction Diversion Initiative grant through the National Center for State Courts, which was the seed of introducing mediation. Right. And from that seed came other opportunities, and most recently is now at the Chattanooga Bar Association and has expanded to not just be in housing court, but courts across our county.
And I'm telling you, I'm excited that we have this program. I mean, it took 4 long years to get it here, but it's a great thing. So let's, Samantha, if you'll tell us, how does mediation differ from going to court?
Yeah, thank you for having me, Linda. I also have wanted to be on this podcast, so this is such a great thing that the Chattanooga Bar is doing. Mediation really in the concept of the legal community is a newer concept. It's really been only about the 30 to 35 years where we've had these alternative dispute resolution programs where you're able to come up with a solution with the help of a third-party neutral, instead of needing to go in front of the court, go through the whole process of discovery, all of those costs. It gives us a way where the two parties can, or the multiple parties can come together, come up with a solution together voluntarily that becomes binding. So the reason it's an incredible program for businesses and individuals, because you have more control in the process. You're able to think about more creative solutions that take into account where you are and where you're going. And from a judicial perspective, it clears up our courtrooms and gives an opportunity for things to be resolved and de-escalated and spend less time and less dollars in the legal community,
Right.
and in fighting.
Right. Absolutely. And it gives the client an opportunity to speak. They, whereas in court they can't.
That's right. Many people are waiting for their day in court. A lot of, I mean, I've been doing litigation and disputes for over 20 years, and regardless of how much something might be a business dispute, there are so many emotions brought into it.
Right.
When you're in the mediation process, you get to have that opportunity where you're listening and you're being listened to by a third-party neutral, not somebody that you're paying to look at it from your perspective and be your advocate, but somebody who can listen, give some feedback, help you craft a solution.
Absolutely. So what kind of disputes are handled through the CIMS program?
Sure. So I know we talked a lot about the housing program. On Thursdays in general sessions, we have mediators there every day to deal with cases involving landlords, evictions. Those are really incredible cases through the CIMS program because, as many people know, getting an eviction on your record can be very devastating and create pretty significant hurdles for you to continue having secure housing. A lot of times what the landlords are really looking for is to have people move out, make arrangements to make pay over time. And our program, we sit down with the landlords and the tenants and craft a solution that can avoid that sort of black letter or red letter E on your record, but still gets the landlord compensated for what has happened. Other cases that we have started, and I think that as the program continues to grow, we're going to see so many pro se cases where the parties are representing themselves are incredibly well positioned to be in the CIMS program. The small claims court here, general sessions, those are cases that are less than $25,000 in dispute. I deal with regularly with things regarding repairs to a home, repairs to a vehicle, personal loans between individuals, working out payment plans and other situations like that. Over at the circuit courthouse, we're also spending time with divorces. We are working with pro se parties and represented parties to help them craft parenting plans, do marital dissolution plans, and especially we'll come in and mediate cases where there need to be modifications to a parenting plan that maybe came up 3 or 4 years ago, but the facts have changed. So, I mean, I think every day, every single case that I've had has been completely unique, and we're able to serve such a wide swath of the community. I think what's a really important part for me to share here, I know we'll talk about this a little bit later, is I'm a Rule 31 mediator for both civil and family, and people pay me and other mediators in the area hundreds of dollars an hour to mediate disputes. Those are the type of volunteers we have in this program, and you can get those services for free and reduced basis. And it's the same level of quality that people are engaging in private mediation. So I think that's one of the most incredible things about our program is we have private mediators volunteering. We have former judges. We have, someone who's on our Rule 31 board for the state of Tennessee. These are often mediators that you're on a wait list to get into, and we have community members who are able to benefit from that.
Right. Okay, so then tell people how, like, who qualifies to go through this mediation, and then how do they apply? I mean, how are they referred?
Right. There's a variety of ways that, and there continue to be new ways that we're learning about cases. As I mentioned on Thursdays, we have mediators available right there in the courtroom to mediate cases that come up on that docket, what's called the detainer docket on Thursdays. We also have, the team over with Judge Sell and her team, they are constantly giving out information to people about the program and being able to schedule. For those who've been in court over in general sessions, you do a first appearance and then you later have a trial. At that first appearance docket, they're getting information about the program so that they can then reach out to our coordinator and get scheduled. So one way is that people are identifying themselves, reaching in. We get information. In terms of qualifying for it, it's a variety of factors that we look at. We look about the amount of controversy. We look at whether people are representing themselves. And also, our judges are playing an incredible role in screening these cases and identifying what would be appropriate to be going through CIMS. It's been one of the areas of cases that we are working with is orders of protection over in circuit court. Right. A lot of times, many people turn towards that relief, looking for an order of protection, which is an important thing to be able to file, but sometimes it's the first time people are encountering the court system. And we've been able to work with them to get mutual no contact orders, other things that sort of head off what might be a more escalating dispute. We're also starting to get some more referrals from community partners in the area. And that's actually across the state. I think you mentioned someone had reached out to us from Nashville. So generally, through the Chattanooga Bar Program, if an attorney, a judge, or a community partner is aware of a case that they believe would be appropriate for CIMS, 9 times out of 10, we're finding a way for that case to come to our program and either qualify for reduced fee or for pro bono mediation services.
Okay. Walk us through a typical mediation, and what role does the mediator play?
Yes, sure. And as I mentioned earlier, what's happening in these mediations is the exact same as what happens in a private mediation. So the mediator gets engaged. In this case, through CIMS, we're usually matching based on availability of the mediator, availability of the parties, and then also matching expertise. So, for instance, I have a background primarily in civil disputes and a lot of things for real estate. So I often come up when those sort of cases are involved. So we'll get it coordinated. We'll have it set. We do, and I think this is one of the neatest things about the CIMS program. We do have access, and we are doing the mediations in the courthouse. I think that's incredible for people. I don't, you would know what we're hearing on our surveys, but to be able to, as you mentioned, being heard, getting to come to the courthouse, and it feels like a real proceeding, right?
Yes.
You know where to go, and people come in with all their materials. And then what we'll do first is explain to them the process of mediation, how it's confidential, that the mediator's job is to be neutral. We're not there to tell you this will be the outcome or this will be your legal advice. But often I'm going in there and saying, I know you want to talk a lot about what happened, but let's talk about where we're going forward, like especially in the children context.
Right.
There's a lot of things that have come up, but it's like, well, let's talk about how we're going to get the kids to school every day. Like, are we going to be on the bus? Are we going to live in the same communities? So that's what we're doing in that process. There's 2 different approaches to mediation. There is the collaborative method. Carol Burrs, who I know so many in our community fondly remember, she has trained so many of us as mediators, including members of the police department. Just incredible. And she was my trainer too, but huge fan of hers.
Trainer. Yeah.
Right. So getting everybody in a room where appropriate and where safe for the parties and also for the mediators. I think it's probably an important point for us to do that we do screening appropriate for things involving domestic violence and other cases cases to make sure that both the parties and the mediator are it's appropriate for mediation, and also we have sort of appropriate safeguards, because again, heightened emotions can occur in these cases. But her method, the method she really taught a lot of us, is collaborative. Everybody in the room, we try to craft a solution together. It's honestly often the most efficient because you can go back and forth. The other model, which is doing independent caucuses with 2 separate rooms, and you shuttle back and forth. One thing that we've done in CIMS with that bigger courtroom in courtroom 5 is we'll shuttle between 2 different desks. Okay, we'll have a party at the plaintiff's desk and the defense side, and so you do sort of quietly caucus with them, but they can kind of hear a little bit that's going on. It ends up being very efficient for smaller disputes.
Right.
And where there isn't the issue of having attorneys present with attorney-client privilege. And then you work through everything to see if you can get an agreement together. And if there is an agreement, having that written down, that's where the mediator serves as more of a scribe to record it, and then the parties sign it. When we do them at the courthouse, again, just a really neat thing about this program that doesn't happen in private mediation is that we can go right into the courtrooms and have the judges review and sign off on the cases right at that time. So Judge Alex McVeigh, who has been involved with this from the beginning, a huge champion for this.
Yes.
If we have something where we have negotiated a parenting plan, which is always subject to the best interest of the children, he'll wait around and let us come in, present that parenting plan. The parties get to confirm their agreement to it in front of the court, and we can have a signed order done that day. And in terms of if we don't reach agreement on other things, the mediator simply reports to the court that everybody appeared and participated and agreement wasn't reached.
Okay, right.
One of the lucky roles that I get to play is seeing how people who participate in these mediations experience them and the outcomes that they feel that they've obtained. And one of the really exciting parts about seeing the feedback from participants is people are reporting, no matter what the outcome that they experience with you and the other volunteer mediators, they're highly satisfied with the experience of being heard, of the mediation itself. So the question explicitly says, despite the outcome, are you satisfied with your experience today? And close to 80% of participants reported yes.
Sort of circling back to what we talked about the being able to be in the courtroom, I think one of the things that it's not just the costs of litigation and mediation is more than just the dollars that you're paying for the filing fee, that you're paying for the attorney. It's the time of people in the community. And most of the time, these are at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. They're taking time off from work. They're having to pay for the parking. That parking garage is $8, which I know well. And so one of the things that's so great about CIMS and what I talked about, again, having walked into this as a volunteer, it's just so incredible to be able to come in, be in the courthouse, get the judge to sign off, and be able to tell the parties, you are now done. Unless something goes wrong in the future, you're done. You don't have to come back to the courthouse. I think that's an incredible thing for the community to be able to do that, and especially on Thursdays, if you're coming up for the detainer docket. I don't know about you guys, but if I've gotten, it's been a long time, so I don't want to mention it, but knock on wood, a speeding ticket, it takes time away from my day to have to go down and deal with these things. So I think more than the saving the time is just an incredible piece that we're trying to capture in a survey data, as opposed to just the dollars that we're saving people.
Absolutely.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I know the first time I came into court, I am not a trained lawyer. It can be overwhelming. It can be scary. You don't know where to go. You don't know who's who. Is it the person in the suit? Is it the other person in the suit? So it brings a dignity to be heard, to slow down the process, to hear in a very calm, measured way what your options are, and to arrive at a more beneficial solution that doesn't necessarily have to be litigious or overwhelming. It brings a whole new dimension of dignity and compassion to the process.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of the cases. Let's go into some of the family law. So how does the mediations, when it deals with the family and the children, help with stress and conflict?
Yeah, I'd love to tell a story about one of the very first cases I took in this
Love to hear it.
with a mediation. The parties had shown up. This was early in a case, and so they were on a temporary parenting plan. There were concerns by the mother, valid concerns regarding these were a young married family, that the father had been working through some things, making steps towards his mental health and towards his recovery with the support of his family. Everybody agreed that it was in the best interest of the child and the father to get to spend time together, but there needed to be some safeguards and some things put in place. I was able to do this mediation. Judge Cox always laughs about this one a little bit because in one room, I had an attorney. They came in for like an adversarial hearing, and the judge was like, you know what? We have a mediator here today. I'm going to let you proceed with your hearing, and after you've all put on your evidence and everything, I'm going to go back to my chambers and give you an opportunity to work with the mediator, see if you can come up with a solution, and if you don't, I'm here for us to figure this out. So I had one room where it was the mother, her attorney, and also the mother-in-law, who was part of caring for the child, so the mother's mother. In the other room, I had the father, the stepmother, the grandmother, I think there might have been 8 people in that room, trying to come up with a solution that, because I, being a mom, and I know that you are a grandmother and a mother, there's an entire village involved with it. And so we were coming up with a solution that took into account, how could the mother help with this? How are we going to safely transport the child? Where are we going to meet up? Part of that ended up being right after that mediation, once we reached an agreement, the mother went and walked through the father's new apartment so that she knew where the child would be. So we were talking through all these issues and thinking about Christmas and what mattered to them, and Thanksgiving, and everybody. And sometimes it's hard to control a room with all of that, but a lot of times you actually need those voices in there to help figure out who's going to do that. And so in that case, and sometimes I go and follow up on some of them to double check, but I believe I talked to the attorney on this one afterwards. We got a temporary plan in place that then ended up being a permanent plan. So we got something in place that worked, and instead of them having to, in that case also, because the judges are so interested in what happened, we came in, we announced the parenting plan. I had an opportunity afterwards, and the judge let me know what he was thinking about, where he would have gone with that plan afterwards. And it was different than what the family crafted. It was not different in the sense that it still took into the best interest of the child, but the way we were able to talk about it, we were really talking about the realistic, hey, you get off work at this time. How are we going to do this? Where are we going to meet? Just really get into those details. A really good mediator will spend a lot of time asking questions, saying, okay, well, you want to have the child on the weekends, but aren't you working as a server at a restaurant, and isn't Saturday night your big, work shift? I mean, those sort of questions you're spending a lot of time asking them about, and with the limited time that the courts have, they can't necessarily get into all of those pieces. Although, again, I want to just say our judges really do, having gotten to spend time in that courtroom, ask a lot of these questions. But in the moment, you're kind of thinking about making your points and making your arguments, and not some of these sort of gut checks afterwards on how this actually plays out.
Right. Okay, so we have been doing this now since May of 25. So how has CIMS impacted with the courts and with the cases?
You'll have all the data, but I can tell you the number of attorneys that have thanked me for handling a case. I know a lot of times, sometimes we've got lawyer jokes, and lawyers don't have the best reputation, but there are cases that lawyers want to have resolved, and that they often need a mediator to help them be in another voice to listen to their client and move it forward. So we have lawyers who are pleased because cases are getting resolved, and they're not having to wait through any backlog that the court might have, especially in family context. The judges are very pleased with the program. I know Tracy Cox, Judge Cox, who has been our coordinator for this program, wasn't able to join us today. But the way that judges can call her directly, and we have mediators on call who can come in and solve problems right away. Right? Back to this thing of they're down here at the courthouse. Can you guys be down there? We have people who show up and do that. That helps everybody in the court system. And we've talked a lot about the housing piece, especially through 2020 and now as people face different uncertainties, being able to resolve those in a way that doesn't set them farther back, but still addresses what, the rights of the landlords and other pieces, has been really incredible and allowed people to move forward and improve their situations. So data, you're going to know how many people we've served and all of those pieces more than I just know that I'm thanked a lot by the judges, by the parties. I had one dispute in general sessions, and I actually saw the party later out at her work, and she thanked me and kind of gave me an update on the case, and I think that's a really great feeling for us as mediators to know that we're helping people and that they've had a positive experience.
Do you want to talk about some of the data?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do want to say I've loved every lawyer I've ever met. I've never made a lawyer joke.
That's good.
You guys have been wonderful partners in this project.
I love every lawyer too.
I know, they're the best.
Good. We get a lot of them.
Well, I am here to attest to the fact that this project and program would be nothing without the pro bono and dedicated hours of the attorneys and judges who supported it. I'm lucky enough to do the data piece, to be able to work with Linda and the Chattanooga Bar Association as they work to determine what is CIMS, what does it do, what is the impact. I tend to think about it and break it down into how is the mediation supporting the court system? Like, how are we doing in the provision of mediations? How is it affecting participants? How is it affecting mediators? And then how is this overall benefiting the community? And so starting recently in this past year, we've implemented a more rigorous evaluation protocol that helps to try to get in on these questions at a more granular level in order to inform our future, in order to inform sustainability, and to constantly have continuous improvement. If there's a hiccup for a mediator volunteer and it's affecting the flow of mediations, we want to know about it. So in our first year, we really got started about midway through the year, and Judge Cox hit the ground running. She did so much coordination and leveraging of the talent in our beautiful county, and we hit almost 100 mediations in that first year in just 6 months, which is an incredible number.
You're right.
It's kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah,
actually.
exceeded every expectation.
Exceeded every expectation. And we're on track with that again this year. We just recently submitted our mid-year report, and by the time we were mid-June, we had worked on about 113 cases. Now, if you double that by parties, that's over 200 households that have been served in just 6 months through the program, which is incredible.
Right.
And as I stated earlier, individuals are now filling out a survey, voluntary. We're not forcing you to take the survey. That means a lot of people are willingly leaving their feedback.
Yeah.
And I think the question that always stands out to me, I mentioned earlier, was no matter what happened today, are you happy with this process?
Yes.
And overwhelmingly, people are. And they're attesting to the fact that they felt heard, they felt valued, they felt like they found an alternative path that wasn't just headbutting and conflict. We've also had a lot of positive feedback from our mediators who said,
right.
And from us, the most important, do you feel like this was a good case to be involving you? And there's a lot of positive report back on that. And we're getting a better sense as time goes on what portions, like what areas and zip codes we're getting a lot of referrals from to get a better sense of where our services could go as we look forward to expand to community-based referrals.
Right.
So that has begun to happen, but I think we would really love to see, in addition to courthouse-based referrals, that community members are recognizing this is a value add that could lessen the burden on the court system, but also improve access to justice.
Right.
I want to mention just quickly, Linda, just about the number of children we impact. I think that the litigants and the parties are adults.
Right.
But in family cases, children can be involved in, from a guardian ad litem standpoint. They're involved as the dispute takes a long time. It impacts the children. They also can end up needing to come in for interviews for the courthouse.
Right.
When things come up related to protective orders, those can impact children. Eviction are impacting children. If you're not able to have sufficient time to make arrangements and be out on this. And so I think that's a really important part that you guys have looked to capture, is that we're impacting some of the most vulnerable members of our society and making sure that they have stability and consistency, and that there isn't this huge correction mark that impacts their trajectory forward. So I know next week I'm really looking forward to my first mediation that's referred out of the juvenile courts. So this is one. This is something that I've learned recently, that actually when unmarried parents, when they're dealing with things related to custody of a child, that can be in the juvenile courts or also in the circuit courts. And in Hamilton County, it mostly goes to the juvenile courts. So that's been an area we've been able to look and help and resolve for, and start getting referrals from that program. So I'm excited to get an opportunity.
I'm
to
excited
do that
too, because that's most important. Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you like for every resident to know about CIMS? What's one thing you would like them to know?
I think there's some misconceptions about mediation. I think that people are concerned that they're going to come in and they're not going to be heard, and they're going to be told your case is terrible, and that we're going to try and force you to settle. This is a completely voluntary process, and we are not going to keep you or hold you hostage in any way. I think that it's an opportunity to come up and craft a solution. We're not here to prevent you from having your day in court, but we are here to help you come up with a solution that saves you time, that could save you money. I would say our mediations are shorter than these smaller ones. I would say that I've had ones that have gone for maybe 4 hours, but most of them are 1 to 2 hours. We are able to do them virtually for people and able to accommodate. I had to do one virtually to accommodate a medical situation. But I think we are here for the community. Right. The community, meaning for the judicial system and the court system, but also for our community. And don't be scared of mediation. It's an opportunity to craft your own solution. I would love to. I'm really looking forward to finding a way where CIMS could be available for mediation before the case is filed, where you have a dispute and you could come in and see if you can work out a solution before you have to pay that $271 filing fee. I don't know exactly what the path forward on that is, but I think that is something where we say, listen, we could potentially be an alternative before you file, but you can still file. We're not keeping you from the courts, but maybe something can be worked out first. So yeah, we're here. We're community focused, and we don't have bright line tests for who qualifies. We look at the holistic picture of people, and we're here to kind of help you and save you, time, money, and continued stress from the litigation process.
Right.
Completely agree.
Okay. Well, this has been great. Samantha, thank you. Thank you for volunteering and doing all the mediations that you do.
It's my pleasure.
And Alexa, it's always it's just so much fun to work with you, especially on the data. Believe it or not, it's really
the Excel documents are fun.
The data part of it. Yeah.
And she has so many visions for the future.
Oh.
There's just exciting things that will come through this as we continue to have more support from the community. I know you are always looking out for the dollars and the fundraising and all of those pieces.
And an honor.
So
Truly.
it's an incredible passion that you have for this. So
right. And I will say, I don't want to go into the details, but we are looking into making this a certified mediation center. So that will be coming next, and you'll be hearing more about that. But I just want to say thank you again. I'm sorry that Tracy Cox couldn't be with us, who is the coordinator. And then there's Debbie Evans, who also helps with the scheduling. But if anybody is listening, and if you are wanting to use this program or need to be referred.
Or volunteer.
Or
from our attorney standpoint, or even non-attorney mediators, you do not need to be a retired judge to do this. And we have a great training program, a shadowing program.
Yes.
It's a great way for you to figure out if mediation is in your toolbox. We would love to have you as volunteers.
Absolutely. So to volunteer or to get a referral to the program, just call us at the Chattanooga Bar Association. Just 423-756-3222, and we'll send you directly where you need to go.
And Linda, I think we would be remiss to say this program would not be here without your leadership, would not be here without the leadership
absolutely right.
of
And your whole
incredible
team,
board
your
and the
board.
committee, the support, the vision, the commitment. It was imperative. It is the foundation of this work. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
everything.
impossible to recognize everyone, but Judge Hollingsworth, Mark Harwell, Jim Exum, everybody who's helped steer this. I mean, these are names that are known throughout the legal community as
right.
really talented attorneys and mediators. And Linda, you can get a room together of the people who can get things done and have the talents and get people to donate their time and talents, and it's just incredible. And thank you so much.
Thank you for everything that you do for us.
We appreciate you.
Y'all have a great day.
You
Have
too.
a beautiful day.